Hey everyone, welcome to the Bugyan podcast. This is where we invite leaders in the overall security space and big ethical hackers to come and talk about their experiences, their journey, so that we as security engineers and CISOs can learn from them. Today is a special day. We have Senthil, also known as Ski very commonly in the community, who is the Deputy CISO at Freshworks with us. And of course, he has a very long experience in the overall cybersecurity space with over 13 years, alongside many certifications. But beyond that, he has been a massive help to startups to also look at the cybersecurity space. So, Ski, if you can quickly give an introduction for yours, would be really happy.
Hey, sure. Thanks, Dhruva. Thanks for having me here. This is Ski, Senthil Kumar Ayyappan. So I've been with Freshworks for the last 5 years and overall around 13 plus years of experience in cybersecurity. This is something that I'm passionate about. And I think that's why I'm here. Maybe just a call out. I may not be a very big hacker, but yeah, I can fall in the leader space. Yeah.
Perfect. It's a pleasure having you, Ski, and thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I would like to get started with something interesting, which is something that we haven't seen in our podcast yet. We've had CISOs from fintech companies, large enterprise, kind of come in, but we've never had a CISO from a publicly listed, New York Stock Exchange listed company come in. So I'm keen to understand what is it that is interesting or different about a cybersecurity posture of a company once you list on a stock exchange. How do the stakes change? How important does it become to a company? And how is it, changed when you joined, right?
Okay, so I've been with the company even before the company was listed public, way before, somewhere around like 2018 times. So if I have to put it at a very high level, the responsibility is heightened. I think that's the major change that I could experience. While we do have all the mandatory requirements that we have to comply, so that is something that it's a non-negotiable, I would say. So that is something that you cannot, hey, is this something that we want to prioritize or put it in the pipeline or backlog? Those terminologies doesn't work because all these are timeline framed. So you have to follow these things. You have to implement controls because we have a reporting to do. So I think that's the major change if you have to look at it. And again, the overall vision of the company takes to the next level, or I would put it as a new journey of that sorts. So I didn't see this as a, okay, yeah, we have reached a destination. This was like another start of a brand new journey, like day one from scratch for a bigger journey. That's what I could feel. From a security standpoint, I think, yeah, so apart from the processes and controls and all the things, there were so many other process tightening and implementations that had to happen internally as well. Because as a product company, while the primary focus is protecting customer data and giving the trust and assurance, now we also have equal responsibility to ensure the internal controls are also at par, because that's get audited. So that takes equal and more precedence, similar to how we protect our customer data and give that importance.
Makes sense. And Ski, we've had a lot of CISOs talk about something called compliance as code. Is that something that you've tried to implement at Freshworks, considering the compliance requirements would obviously be going up and the timelines would also be going up?
Yes. So to an extent, see, the compliance is driven not only by the legal or regulatory standards. I think this should start ground up as a commitment based on the type of company that you are, because we being a product firm and our customers trust with our products for processing their data. So we have that responsibility to process the data, secure it, and in protect it at our best, because it's their data and they're relying on us. So I think that's the way to start with. The compliance factor becomes one another requirement or a focus area that we have to approach. So irrespective of whether there is a compliance,
you are a security first or compliance first as a CISO?
I would go with security first, because no point in implementing a compliance and still I'm not able to protect it. Compliance implementation comes with certain list of things to do. Am I still secure? It's a question that we need to answer based on how we have implemented or what controls we have in place to meet the compliance. Meeting compliance is a very straightforward job because you have the list of requirements and you have to meet it one way or the other. And if you are able to meet it, well and good. But that is one step of the overall journey. End of the day, protecting the data, security first mindset is something that I would lean on, in my opinion. And I think that is the best way to take forward as well. Having a security first mindset, approaching, hey, is this secure enough? Are we covering all the angles from a data protection standpoint? Would be the best question to ask. Then, hey, are we meeting the compliance requirements?
100% agreed, Ski. I think, you pointed out security being a journey and not like a target that you have to achieve, right? I think that's very common for all organizations. Some people are looking at, compliance as, oh, it's done, we're done, secured, right? But I completely understand how that is not a way to look at security. And you need to do everything in your power to ensure that everything that you're kind of opting for, you have that kind of mindset in place, saying that it is secured. So it is good to hear about that. Coming to another question, I wanted to understand further from you that many managers, right, and especially in the security space, don't have a hands-on experience in security. So that is why many ethical hackers who are working for other companies often feel that, oh, my manager is just looking at it from an top-down perspective, whereas I'm the one who's going down coding. Whereas there are many managers who have an OSCP, who have something else. So, in your opinion, for a CISO, do you think having hands-on experience helps, or you just should have that managerial mindset and that mindset that you were talking about, or like a mix of both? What is your opinion?
You have to have multiple hats as an executive leader or a senior leader, because you are not managing one specific team or a process, because you're responsible for the overall cybersecurity program and strategy, which includes tech, non-tech, compliance, and most importantly, people management. So, so it's not only the tech skill and the hands-on. You have to have a larger diversity of profile, and definitely having that hands-on experience will help bridge the gap or quicken the understanding levels of it. And it's all up to the way how you want to lead or enable people. So because a CISO or a leader or a manager alone cannot represent or get things done. It's a team who gets the overall thing or the vision that is getting accomplished. So definitely, in my opinion, it helps a lot to have a mix of both skills. Otherwise, unless and until you have a way to understand the tech part as a manager, that's where the real challenge comes into play, and that solves all these gaps and opinions from the working team members. I think they are more experts. They work more closely than any manager or leader. I think let's be honest there, because there are other factors and priorities that as leaders we have to spend. As long as we acknowledge them that, hey, you guys are the experts, but still validate, verify to get your convincing results as well. So I think the mix of both is definitely needed, and putting the team first always enables greater things.
I completely agree. And that's, I think, a very great answer. I think security can be done only by a team. It's not a single individual person who's the best hacker who can just come and secure your organization. And additionally, having those soft skills to manage, report to the board, communicate exactly what you're doing is something that comes off to be extremely important in this space. So that is something important.
And that's why I said you have to have multiple hats, because I cannot talk the same language that I talk to a security architect or a security engineer. The same language or the way we talk or discuss won't work with senior leadership. It's a different audience, and you have to make them understand the same content in a way they can understand and understand the importance. So that's why you have to have those different perspectives. And I think that's where real managers and leaders stand out.
Makes sense. Totally. Ski, I want to, kind of divulge into startups a bit more now, right? So for startups, what has started to happen very frequently is that ISO and SOC 2 is what they're looking for, because, the buyer only looks for that as a buying decision, right? So many compliance companies have basically flourished in the past couple of years. You must be knowing many of them, just by setting this up at a fast pace for companies, right? But as you earlier pointed out, this is not something that actually has a security first mindset, right? Just having a compliance doesn't mean that you are secure. In fact, I was reading a blog the other day. It was saying that this company is not SOC 2 certified because their data is not encrypted at rest. But then one employee comes in, and he opens a ransom file which encrypts all the data, right, or in the company, and suddenly now they're SOC 2 compliant and certified. So this is just a way in which, how is it that you feel that startups can have a security first mindset from day zero, basically?
I think it should not be on compliance. Hey, let's go and get the ISO on SOC 2. It's all about, hey, how do we integrate or bring in security in our entire engineering or development process? I think that's the approach. I think it's like, don't focus on the goal, focus on the process kind of analogy that I would take. Don't focus on getting the certifications or compliance, focusing on implementing controls, focusing on bringing in security into the development process at the earliest stage. And by doing that, we automatically meet most of the controls that are required for the compliance. And as you rightly said, it's easy for organizations or for any organizations to get the ISO on SOC 2. But that is just step 0, not even a step 1, because the major challenge lies in how are you consistently having those controls intact, maintaining compliance and maintaining all those periodic activities lies the bigger challenge, because your SOC 2 goes for a toss if you don't do your risk assessment or your periodic access reviews for the 2 quarters, right? And if an auditor comes and asks, you have a control gap. A very simple, straightforward example. So I think this is where we should not focus on, just focus on, hey, are we having the right access controls? And asking the questions differently to ensure we meet the compliances day in and day out. And again, I wouldn't complain, this is not more to do with how organizations should approach. This is also something to do with creating the awareness with the startup founders, telling that it's not about the compliance, it's about conducting the periodic activities, creating awareness among employees. And this will work for initial stages. Once if a startup is heading towards expanding their growth, like hunting for mid-market and enterprise clients, certifications will be a pathway or a check mark in the list of things that they have for selection. You will have a lot of questions to answer. Questionnaires will come along the way. We cannot always show, hey, this is our ISO and this is our SOC 2 and we are good. No. So companies will want to deep dive and understand how we have implemented the controls. That's where we build those trust and assurance and influence the buyer decision. And in my experience, cybersecurity plays a crucial role in the sales cycle as well. This is something that I have experienced and implemented, because we were able to influence the trust and assurance and the overall buying decision by providing a good security posture, not only with the certifications.
No, for sure. I think just being a cybersecurity first organization builds a lot of trust within companies. And I've seen many companies actually use that to position themselves differently than other products as well, right? Just as a moat, that we are more secure. And nowadays in this space, buyers are actually looking at that quite seriously and evaluating those companies just based on it. But of course, it puts up a high posture for that company to seriously be secure, right? We've seen enough incidents around the world wherein companies have claimed to be secure and then they've gone through the worst of attacks. But so that's where I'm kind of coming in on one point. You earlier said that companies, while evaluating these companies, I think instead of checking whether they have a software and ticking a box. What they should do is check for an audit report and check whether that has actually been done properly or not. That is one way in which I think companies can further look at security seriously. Coming to my next question, just a quick question, right? This is something that a lot of people are very confused about and would love to get your opinion on this. As a startup, as a growing startup, say at a pre-seed stage right now, and of course we're growing in the future, at what point should I get a VAPT done? At what point should I get a bug bounty started? At what time should I do a red team engagement? And at what time should I deploy some kind of a SAST or a DAST tool to regularly keep checking my code?
I think these are not decisions taken based on your funding stage or your growth plans. This is the foundation, right? So, and it's not like one single plan for every organization. There are multiple factors involved around it. But getting a VAPT, I think as soon as you have your product ready, you can go ahead and do a VAPT, because you're not doing it for the outside world. You have to do it for yourself to see if you have missed something, right? You may have a security person, not a team, but you might have someone with security knowledge or an engineer who has done some security stuff as part of the early founding team, which is good. If you don't have, also having a security testing done validates your work. Then it is also used as an assurance collateral while selling or enabling trust. So only when you are convinced, let's take a typical idea. Only when the founder is convinced with the idea and the product, they will go ahead and start pitching, right? Or they will at least, before even pitching, they will validate the idea with someone else. This is how it should be looked into it. Doing a VAPT is something like you have to do it as validating your work.
It's like a reality check.
Yeah. And also having a third eye to look into it will either give a good validation, yes, we have done the good work, or hey, these are some of the areas that we should focus. So I think it all comes with, again, creating the awareness, giving this idea and thought process, which not many will think in this way. And only when the person who are in the field will be able to provide these insights and importance of all these things. Again, you also talked about the other aspects, SAST and red teaming and bug bounty. This is all, again, a decision that you can take based on based on the growth and based on the opportunities that you have. Of course, there is a bit of funding that is involved, because you need to have some budget in place, which may not be possible for every startup, and it depends on their growth and strategy plan. But as long as when we have that budget, I think that's where we should go ahead and invest. I cannot give you a straightforward formula. Hey, okay, if you are in CDA, do red teaming, invest in bug bounty. Again, it's all about how do you want to progress, and it also depends upon the customers that you are gaining in your initial stage.
In fact, your answer actually makes a lot of sense, which I think about it as well. As the budget for your security grows, you are as an organization also grow, and then you keep on getting opportunities to test different things out, and that is when you try these things, right? So I think that actually makes a lot of sense, just associated with the investment that you have in security. But the question that comes in further for companies is, should they even ever invest in security that much, right? Many companies go to a great point when without having any kind of a significant security budget, and the day they get hacked, they have the biggest budget. We know that, right?
True. So yeah, I couldn't deny the fact. So see, I think it's all about the perspective, because say if you invest on marketing, you get leads. If you invest on sales, you get the leads, you get revenue of those sort. There is always a revenue angle that is being looked into the investment, which is natural. So you're investing on something, what you're getting in return. I think that's where the landscape changes and the mindset has been changing. So previously, say like 10 years or before, Yeah, you have to invest a lot on security. What you get in return would be the question for any person who is at the leadership level. And the standard answers that one can get is, hey, we are getting this compliance, and we have invested in a lot of tools which is going to protect our company from being hacked, and all the usual generic answers. But there is no 100% guarantee that, hey, no one can come and tell, hey, we are 100% secure, right?
Correct.
So there is always an evolving landscape. There is always some opportunity for it. But there is a lot more return on investment that you can get is how many deals we were able to close because of security. So let's take mid-market and enterprise deals, because they give a lot of importance to security, because they are investing a lot of amount on buying SaaS products or any product for that matter. So, and they are sharing their data. Their data is getting processed, and they are also doing a lot of investment. So there are deals which may not get through, or there would be a confidence level challenge if the security posture is not convincing for them, right? So after a point in the last 5 years, the way how I envision security as a revenue influencing and a revenue enabling team, because we are not only getting just certifications or having tools in place to protect your data. Cybersecurity can influence the revenue of the company significantly in mid-market and enterprise because of the importance that is given to it. Because as a buyer, they might like the product might exactly meet the requirements. The product might also do a lot of cost savings in terms of pricing. But there is also a security angle which decides, hey, well, we have all these things, is it secure enough for us to invest?
Correct.
And if we do an analysis, you'll see how many deals were closed in mid-market and enterprise, and how many cybersecurity were involved deeply, and which was also a deciding factor. So we are indirectly influencing the revenue for the company. This is an angle which it should be looked into it. And when we start looking into it, I think budgeting will not be a concern, because we will be able to show the return on investment. Say, for example, for the financial year, there has been an X amount of budget that has been invested, and how many deals where cybersecurity were involved and influenced in closing it. It could be the same X or 1.5X or 2X, depending upon how we are having a good security posture. And sometimes buyers get to choose faster if security is given upfront.
Well, makes sense. I think directly tying it into revenue is something that organizations really not need to start looking at. And if they actually look at it and they start seeing that growth, the way you're talking about it, I think we'll have strong budget allocations for security basically coming in. And again, that should give a return as well. So that is a very interesting way to look at it. And I hope many more CISOs and CIOs, follow this kind of an approach. So Ski, my next question lies around, the hiring and the overall skill gap, which is kind of becoming a big deal right now in Indian, news all over, that there are so many number of unfilled jobs in security. What do you think is is that really true according to you at your company? Do you think why is it that this is happening, and how is it that you think we can potentially fix this, right, if this is an issue at all?
See, I think there should be an understanding that this is an evolving field. So no cybersecurity professional can stay the same if they don't update themselves with the latest happening, because this is a field which is directly linked to the evolving threat landscape, right? It's not the same threats that we are hearing the back days or in the last 2-3 years. Even like 3 months before, if we compare, there would be a lot of changes and new things that would have been evolved in the market. And you have to stay updated. Otherwise, in whatever position you are an individual contributor or you are at the senior most position, you as a person will be outdated, right? That's the beauty or the challenges or the privileges that this field has, right? So, and hence there is a natural demand for getting updated, and in obviously the skills that we have. So I wouldn't put it as a skill gap. So it's all about how we are updating ourselves to meet the ever-changing requirements. Of course, if we have to do a comparison between the geographical areas, yes, there is a high demand when compared to India, and there is a lot of competition which you may not have in India. So I think that's a fact that everybody should accept. But again, how we can address this opportunity is, I think early education and awareness is something that I felt was one of the reasons. Say, for example, how many of us in the cybersecurity community did their education in cybersecurity or information security and pursued their field?
None, zero.
Yeah, so somewhere in their professional journey, they would have stumbled upon cybersecurity or heard about cybersecurity and got the interest or passion, and then they would have started. So I think if we can address that in the earlier stage and show them that, hey, there is a wide market out there for cybersecurity, and you can start as a fresher in cybersecurity. I think this is something that also we need to start, because it always happens with, yes, you need a good expertise and experience, but someone has to start at base, right? So we cannot become experts all of a sudden. There has to be some practice, work, experience, and exposure to it, and only then we can get that years of experience. So I think that is something that I see we may have to look in from an Indian geography perspective. So starting those education from schooling, or even in our early UG, where we have dedicated courses for cybersecurity and all those things. We do have a couple of courses related to like satellite communication, networking, cryptography, all those sort, which is the fundamentals, or which we will have to learn. But we need to have an out and out core courses for cybersecurity, which will give the knowledge, and it also make them understand, okay, there is a job market which we can start early on. I think that's the major. Rest of it is all like we can have, like, there is, of course, yes, there could be shortage of experienced professionals, or hey, I don't have a subject matter expert in cloud security or AI for that matter. So all those things are there irrespective of the geography. But I think the way how we can address it is like giving more opportunities at the early stage, creating this awareness. It's not as fancy as a DevOps engineer or a software engineer for that matter. So everyone who is coming out of college, they want to become an engineer. But why? Because they have heard about it and they have seen that in the market. While cybersecurity is also having the same amount of importance, I think we may have to push it.
I think a lot more amount of importance. So what, the way you're pointing this out is something I relate to a lot. The core reason that I and many of my colleagues are in security is because we got started in school, which was through capture the flag events that people were organizing, right? CTF events, Google CTF, and a lot more. And just playing around with technology and everything else. And, the second we started looking into college, we saw that, okay, there is no certification or degree in security. There is computer science. I can see VIT is offering one, but it doesn't look like they're actually doing anything hands-on. And that's a big challenge that I saw personally. I saw that there is no way to get into this space without having referrals, without having contacts, without having established yourselves in the space. So certainly, starting at an earlier stage is something that has become extremely important. And I also think that one thing is important is that, having a general knowledge of everything, I think makes you a good security engineer, right? Wherein instead of just being specialized on one point, that, okay, I can only do authentication or something like that, you may be a developer in the past, you may know how to make things. The more you know how to make things, the better you will actually know how to break them. That is just generally what I feel.
Yeah, and I think as we gain the years of experience, it's important that we diversify our experience in the cybersecurity domains to have that holistic picture. You can either be a subject matter expert, but still you have to update yourself for the specific area where you are an SME. you might get outdated if you don't see the outside world for 6 months, for sure.
100%. New research is coming on Twitter every day, right? And security space and AI and everything, it's going crazy. So I personally feel the pressure, right? And I'm very young. So for everyone else, that's something I totally understand. But that pressure is good because something you enjoy, something you're passionate about, you're able to kind of do.
Yes.
Kind of, diverging from that as well is key. One way that people seek to actually bridge this gap is certifications, right? And I can see that you have a strong history in certifications. They do provide a base, amount of understanding. I myself got the OSCP, OSWE, and all these other things, and I did feel that they helped. What is your opinion on people getting these certifications at an early stage as young people? Because often these are as expensive as a college degree.
Very true. See, I see certification as a commitment to the field. If one is really interested and passionate about what they are doing, I don't see, while most of the entire world see, okay, if this person is having the certification, yes, this person might have the knowledge, but whether they have put their certification and knowledge into real-time work, or they were able to put their knowledge into the work, and if they have seen any difference, that's the question that I used to ask. And the certification journey is altogether different from every individual. I didn't take my certifications at the early age for many reasons, because of the work that I had, and obviously cost is one more reason for it, which is obviously very true. So in my initial years, I didn't had the time or focus to get the certification done, because I had an opportunity to learn on the job. So I think that gives you more knowledge and practical experiences, which the situations which you may not get while taking the certification or of those sorts. But it is also equally important to validate your expertise and commitment to the field. Of course, it has a value where you stand out when you compare with professionals in this rapidly evolving industry, or it gets you a little ahead if you are in being interviewed. But again, yes, it is having a lot of value, but it's all about how we obtain the certification, and have we seen the value of the knowledge that we are getting. Because you read those books, understand the concepts, write an exam, get the certification. It's equivalent to like how we are writing our semester exams, which is fine. But are we taking that learning and putting into our work? Is the certification that we do has a value to us in our day-to-day job? It could be a situation where you are able to quote an example, hey, as per this certification, or as per this guidance or book, this is what the process is, or this is how this has been approached. I think real-time implementation is what everyone should seek for, because it is a gateway. Obviously, you have the certification, maybe you land in a job because the job resume says CISSP is must. But how are you going to put your CISSP skills on the job to perform is the real question that everyone should ask. Because eventually, if you take certification just to have it added to your name or next to your signature, you will eventually fall up in the trap, because they expect you to be that professional. And if they don't see that in you, it changes the game. So 100%. One day or the other. Yeah.
Correct. No, for sure. I think it also ties into the fact that the landscape is continuously evolving. This certification may be giving you knowledge of 10 years back, but you have to look at what is happening right now, what threat actors are doing right now. Look at the nature of the base, understand how these attacks are happening, and kind of work on the job. So that is for sure there. I personally found that so I did CEH first, and then I did OSCP. CEH was the book reading, writing, an exam, kind of an exam. They did say there are some practical aspects to it, but I didn't feel so. But it did, to an extent, improve my vocabulary, right? That's something I can say. I can,
yes, there is definitely a lot of learning that you will undergo, and those learning is very, very important. That's why I wouldn't say, hey, I will not give priority to certification or learning. That is equally important, because you get to learn. But the 100% success of it is something that you yourself should be able to feel it. Hey, okay, Only because of this, I was able to do this work or handle this task or handle this approach. And the perspective changes from a technical certification to a management certification, right? So you cannot apply the same technical mindset if you are taking a cybersecurity management certification. Sometimes you have to be the enabler, get the team, motivate the team to get the work done, and not apply your technical skills, get the job done. This is like, I can be a successful leader not by implementing all the work. Hey, I have done this work, not this project. It is all depending upon my team's success, my team's growth and enablement. Have I contributed to their growth and enablement along with the team goals and the vision that we want to achieve? I think that's where the true success is.
For sure. And I think a combination of these things is what defines you and gives you the edge. There aren't many people who have that in play. And if people are able to stand out, that is something that works. So just a last question to wrap up, Ski. And this is a question that many of the security engineers who watch our podcast, many of the bug bounty hunters and hackers have, is that if they ever have to in the future work for you or join Freshworks as a security engineer, what is it that they should start doing right now, which will give them that edge?
I think we have specific requirements for any cybersecurity role. So having a bigger understanding the big picture is what will take every individual to take up. So the job resume gives you a straightforward responsibilities and the experience requirements. Sometimes it's not always the experience. A person could be having 3 or 4 years of experience, but if they have the knowledge and the skill sets that they exhibit, that can handle, I think that's where we go. While those things are considered as an early initial evaluating factor, I think one thing that we look at is commitment, because not only for cybersecurity, in general for Freshworks, we want employees to grow and achieve whatever they want to do in their career path, plus contribute to the growth of the company as well. So being a people-first organization, we also ensure what are their career aspirations. Personally, this is what I look into it. And as someone who has handled and managed team, I look at it this way. So this candidate will end up spending 1/3 of their day with me on a typical day. So as a leader who is responsible, I want to ensure I contribute, give my best for their growth and development, but also at the same time, the person who is coming up is contributing to the goals of the company. So as long as you have the needed knowledge, a good amount of experience, if that is something that we are looking for, and it's about how you approach it. So these are some of the factors that we look into it, depending upon the various roles that we have, because I think that's how I look into it. I think that's the way how I'll put it.
I think that makes a lot of sense. You need to understand the big picture, be committed to what you're doing, and of course, look at growing within the company as well, and not just look at it as another job. Thank you so much, Ski, for coming on the podcast. It was a pleasure having you, and this was an amazing conversation that we had. I really enjoyed it. Hope you did too, and looking forward to connecting with you again.
Yeah, I enjoyed a lot talking to you, and thank you for giving this opportunity to share my experiences. Hope it was useful.
For sure. Thank you so much.